Jena froze. Her fingers hovered inches above the small velvet pouch resting on the wooden table. Her breathing became shallow as the traveler's voice broke the silence. "No one will ever know," he said softly. "It's only one choice." Her heart pounded against her chest. She knew she should walk away. She knew she shouldn't even be standing there. Yet her feet refused to move. For the first time in 40 years, uncertainty had found its way into a woman who had built her life upon unwavering discipline. How had everything led to this single moment? Before you discover whether Jena chose wisdom or temptation, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let us know in the comments. Do you believe one single choice can change an entire life? Your answer may surprise someone reading it. 40 years earlier, Jena had been known as a child, unlike the others. While children argued over toys and games, she quietly shared hers. While others mocked those who were different, she was the first to offer kindness. As she grew older, nothing changed. She refused to gossip. She refused to deceive. She refused to harm another person, even when they had hurt her deeply. The villagers admired her, but what they admired most was not her kindness. It was her consistency. Day after day, year after year, she remained the same. Every sunrise began with silence. Every evening ended with gratitude. People from neighboring villages often traveled long distances simply to speak with her, not because she claimed to possess secret wisdom, not because she performed miracles, but because after speaking with Jena, they somehow found peace within themselves. One afternoon, an elderly man climbed the hill where she often sat beneath an old tree. "My daughter refuses to speak to me," he said, tears filling his eyes. "I have tried everything." Jena smiled gently. "Have you tried listening instead of explaining?" The old man frowned. "What do you mean? You have spent months telling her why you were right." "Yes." "But have you ever asked how deeply she was hurt?" The old man's expression changed. "No." "Sometimes," Jena said softly, "peace begins when someone feels heard." Several weeks later, the man returned. He was smiling. "You were right." Jena shook her head. "I wasn't right." "You were." "No," she replied with a gentle laugh. "Compassion was." Word spread. More people arrived. A young merchant approached her one morning. "I've lost everything," he confessed. "My business failed. My friends abandoned me. What should I do?" Jena looked toward the mountains before answering. "When the wind tears every leaf from a tree, the roots remain." "I don't understand." "You've lost what surrounded your life." She looked directly into his eyes. "But you have not lost your character." The merchant stood quietly. After several moments, he whispered, "No one has ever answered me like that." Years passed. Nothing seemed capable of shaking Jena's inner balance. Many people secretly believed she had become incapable of making mistakes. Some even whispered, "She has mastered herself." Jena always corrected them. No one ever finishes mastering themselves. Yet even as she spoke those words, a tiny seed had quietly begun growing inside her. Not pride, not arrogance, something far more dangerous, certainty. Without realizing it, she began believing that tomorrow would always look like today. That temptation belonged to other people. That after 40 years of discipline, her heart had become too strong to wander. Life remained peaceful until the arrival of a traveler named Darius. He entered the village carrying little more than a walking staff and a warm smile. Unlike most visitors, he wasn't searching for advice. He simply stayed. He helped repair broken fences. He carried water for elderly neighbors. He laughed easily. Within days, everyone seemed to enjoy his company. Eventually, he climbed the hill where Jena sat every morning. "May I join you?" "If silence doesn't trouble you," he smiled. "It never has." They watched the sunrise together without speaking. Several minutes later, he broke the silence. I understand now. She looked toward him. Understand what? Why everyone comes to see you. She smiled politely. They come searching for answers they already possess. He chuckled. You speak differently than anyone I've met. They hear differently because they expect something extraordinary. And what are you? Ordinary. Over the following weeks, Darius returned often. Sometimes they spoke. Sometimes they remained silent. Sometimes they simply watched birds glide across the valley. Unlike everyone else, he never asked for guidance. Instead, he asked about her. What makes you happy? What did you dream about when you were younger? Do you ever grow tired? No one had asked her questions like these. One afternoon he laughed. You spend your life carrying everyone else's burdens. I don't carry them. No, I simply remind people they are stronger than they believe. And who reminds you? She hesitated. No one. For reasons she couldn't explain, that answer lingered in her thoughts long after he left. The following morning she found herself wondering if he would return. When he did, she smiled before realizing she had been waiting. That realization unsettled her. Why was she waiting? He was simply another traveler, nothing more. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. The conversations grew longer. One evening they watched rain fall across the valley. Darius looked toward her. Have you ever wondered what life might have been if you had chosen differently? She answered without hesitation. No. Never. No, you never wished for a family? She smiled gently. I chose another path. Do you regret it? No. But she looked toward him. But what? I wonder if everyone assumes your strength means you never feel lonely. The question struck somewhere deep inside her. Lonely. She had never allowed herself to use that word. Not because it wasn't true, because acknowledging it felt unnecessary. She quietly changed the subject. Yet later that night, sitting alone beneath the stars, his question returned again and again. The next morning, her meditation lasted only a few minutes before her thoughts drifted elsewhere. She opened her eyes. Why am I distracted? She whispered. She closed them again. Instead of stillness, she thought of Darius. She stood abruptly. This isn't right. The following day, she intentionally avoided the hill. Surely that would solve everything. But by afternoon, she found herself wondering if he had waited. She sighed. What is happening to me? An elderly woman visiting her home noticed the concern on her face. You seem troubled. I'm simply tired. The woman smiled knowingly. No, Jena looked away. Even peaceful water ripples when something touches it. Jena forced a smile. I'll be fine. The elderly woman gently placed a hand on hers. My dear, never believe that because you've walked faithfully for many years, you no longer need to guard your heart. Those words stayed with Jena long after the woman had gone. She wanted to believe she was still in control. She wanted to believe this was nothing more than a passing distraction. But somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice whispered a warning she wasn't yet ready to hear. The following morning, Jena chose a different path through the community. She told herself it was only to avoid unnecessary conversation, nothing more. Yet every step felt strangely heavy. As she passed familiar faces, people greeted her with warm smiles. Good morning, Jena, she smiled back. May your day be peaceful. An elderly woman who had known her for years stopped beside her. You seem distracted today. Jena forced a gentle smile. I'm simply tired. The woman studied her face for a moment. No, Jena looked away. Even the calmest water ripples when something touches it. I'm all right. The woman squeezed her hand. My dear, never believe that because you've walked faithfully for many years, you no longer need to guard your heart. Those words lingered long after they parted. That evening, Darius waited beneath the old tree. When Jena arrived, he stood. I wasn't sure you'd come. I almost didn't. Why? She hesitated. I've noticed my mind isn't as quiet as it once was. He lowered his eyes. Perhaps that's my fault. No, she replied softly. No one is responsible for another person's thoughts. For a while, neither of them spoke. Finally, Darius broke the silence. May I ask you something? You may. Have you ever grown tired of always being the strong one? Jena stared into the distance. There are days when strength feels effortless. And the other days, she smiled sadly. The other days, I simply keep walking, he nodded. I've always admired people like you. You shouldn't. Why not? Because admiration can become expectation. I don't understand. She looked at him. When people believe someone is always strong, they forget that person still has a heart. For the first time, Darius saw weariness behind her calm expression. You've carried everyone else's burdens for a long time. I chose to. But who carries yours? She didn't answer. Instead, she stood. I should go. As she walked away, Darius called after her. Jena, she turned. You deserve happiness too. His words echoed in her mind all night. Days passed. Their conversations continued. Each one felt innocent. Each one seemed harmless. But slowly, almost invisibly, Jena began changing. Her mornings of quiet reflection became shorter. Her evenings of gratitude became rushed. Instead of sitting in silence, she found herself wondering what Darius might ask the next time they met. One afternoon, she caught herself smiling before seeing him. The realization startled her. She whispered to herself, "Guard your heart." But instead of stepping back, she convinced herself there was nothing to fear. It's only friendship. It's only conversation. It's only one distraction. One evening, rain began falling as they hurried into an abandoned cottage for shelter. Thunder rolled across the valley. Darius looked at her and smiled. I suppose the rain has decided we'll stay a while. Jena laughed quietly. It would seem so. For a long time they listened to the rain. Then Darius reached into his bag and removed the same small velvet pouch she had seen weeks before. I've carried this for years. What is it? My family entrusted it to me before they passed away. He opened the pouch. Inside was a beautifully crafted pendant. Its surface reflected the soft light from the window. It's beautiful, Jena whispered. It belonged to my mother. He gently held it toward her. I want you to have it. She immediately stepped back. I can't accept something so precious. I want you to. No. You've spent your whole life giving to others. He smiled warmly. Please, let someone give something to you. She looked at the pendant, then at him. Her conscience spoke clearly. This isn't yours to keep. Walk away. She took a slow breath. I shouldn't. Why? Because accepting it doesn't feel right. It's only a gift. Only a gift, only one choice. Only once. The words wrapped themselves around her thoughts. She remembered every lesson she had ever shared. Do what is right even when no one is watching. Never allow desire to speak louder than wisdom. Yet another voice quietly answered. You've spent 40 years serving everyone else. Surely one small exception cannot erase a lifetime of goodness. Her hand trembled. Darius didn't move. He simply waited. The room fell silent except for the rain. Then Jena reached forward. The moment her fingers closed around the pendant, something inside her changed. There was no lightning, no voice from the sky, no one entered the room. Nothing happened, except peace quietly disappeared. She stared at the pendant resting in her palm. It suddenly felt heavier than stone. She looked at Darius. I shouldn't have done that. He frowned. It's only a gift. No, her voice cracked. It isn't. She placed the pendant back into his hand. I crossed a boundary long before I touched this. What do you mean? I allowed my heart to become attached. She stepped backward, tears filling her eyes. I kept telling myself every small compromise didn't matter. She shook her head. But every small compromise led me here. Darius lowered his eyes. I'm sorry. So am I. Without another word, she walked into the rain. She didn't run. She didn't hide. She simply walked until she reached the hill where she had welcomed countless sunrises. She fell to her knees. The rain soaked her clothes, but she never noticed. For a long time, she said nothing. Then she whispered through tears, I thought years of discipline had made me strong. She lowered her head. But strength isn't something we keep. It is something we choose. Again and again, every day. The next morning, people noticed something different about Jena. Not shame, not fear, humility. When those who came seeking advice asked what had happened, she answered honestly, I forgot that no heart is beyond temptation. One young woman looked surprised. You? Jena nodded. Especially me. But everyone says you're the strongest person they've ever known. She smiled gently. No. The strongest person is the one who never stops guarding their heart. Months later, someone asked Darius if he regretted giving Jena the pendant. He quietly answered, the pendant didn't test her. What did? The belief that one small choice couldn't matter. Years passed and Jena continued helping others. But now, whenever someone praised her unwavering character, she would gently interrupt them. Don't admire my past, they look confused. She would smile and continue. Admire the decision to begin again each morning. Because she had learned something she would never forget. Temptation rarely arrives looking dangerous. It often arrives looking harmless. One conversation, one exception, one compromise, one choice. And sometimes, one choice is all it takes to change the direction of a life. If this story made you stop and reflect, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future stories that inspire reflection and meaningful conversation. And before you go, tell us in the comments, have you ever faced a moment where one small choice changed your life? Remember this, a lifetime of wisdom is protected one choice at a time.